Okay, so this is part 2 of night 3 of ayahuasca. And I think I'm just gonna wrap everything up together with this, including night 4. So basically, we finished that ceremony of night 3, which was like super crazy, obviously super wild. And I remember going back to my room, and I was sharing a room with somebody that's like, I want to say she was from Alabama. I can't remember, but anyway, she just had this like, this like one of those like Alabama accents, and so I walk in and she's kind of like doing her thing. She's like getting things out of her suitcase and just talking. And she's like, "Oh my God, that was a wild night. Like, I hope you had a great night. I just really enjoyed that. And all these things came through for me." And it was just like this, and I was listening to her, but I was like so in my process of like everything that had just happened. That I, I don't even remember. I was just sort of like in a haze. And at one point she's going on and on and on and on and on. And finally at one point she looks at me, she notices me, and she's like, "Are you all right? Like, are you okay?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I remember like going to the bathroom and looking at myself, and I looked gaunt. Like, I looked like I'd seen a ghost. And so I took a shower and relaxed, and I don't think I slept all night long. I was up awake all night long from everything that I had just seen like happen and experienced. And so the next morning there was movement, right? Like every day, I think I mentioned this, there's always movement. Like you would do like a movement class, which is like a yoga style, like body movement kind of class. And so Dylan happened to be teaching that morning. And so I'm in class and I'm doing it. And all of a sudden I'm like halfway through, or, we're partway through the class, and I start bawling my eyes out. And I can't quite explain it, but I'm bawling. Like, I'm just like, I can't help myself. And it's just like one of those, like, those things that like overtake you. One of those, excuse me, those, like those cries that like just overtake you. And I'm like, whatever. And so Dylan, comes up to me and he's like, "Are you okay? Well, why don't we just chat right after class?" And I was like, "Sure." And then, and we finish, and I wait for him, and I'm like, "What the hell was that? Like, what the hell is that? Am I not from here? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, bro, I'm not from Earth. Like, what do you, I don't know what is, like, I was like, cause I was crying about like, like, was my family, like, and he's like, and he's just listening to me, and he's like watching me go on and on and on. I was like, "Bro, like, what the hell, man?" And I'm like, "Oh, I saw these things, and I know I'm not from Earth, and there's something happening here. Like, what's going on?" And he's just like watching me, because they're not really supposed to interrupt your process and get in the way and like explain things to you, which is kind of annoying. But at the same time, like, I get it. So finally I'm like Dylan, like, what, like, do you know what this is? Like, what is this? What is this? What is this? What's going on? Like, have you heard of this before? And he goes, "Yeah, of course I have." Like, he's like, we're here to help planet Earth. Like, we're here to help the Earth. We're here to save, I think he says, "We're here to save the Earth." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's a whole intergalactic federations going on here, like, that are aware of, like, that we know of, and that are working with us to help, save this planet." And I'm like, "Are you for real?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you're not for real." And of course, like, ever since then, I've done all kinds of, my own research and work and personal, like, development on myself, and connected with other things ever since. But in that moment, it's all like, "Are you fucking for real? There's just no way." And so, and then I remember, I was like, I want to talk to Ricardo, like that guy who I had to partner up with, in our sharing circle, because I remember it. I just had this like ding, 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 where he was like, "Hey, you remember choosing to come to Earth too? Like, I have a mission." And I was like, it was all just like hitting me and flooding me back. So like, as soon as I finished with him, I'm like, I look for him, I'm like, Ricardo, this thing happened to me last night. Like, can we talk? And can you please like help me out? He's like, "Yeah, sure, let's talk later." And then we start chatting, and I start telling him everything that happened to me. He's like, "Bro, that's the same thing that happened to me." It's like, same, like, same. So that was the second time at ayahuasca. And the first time he had gone, like, that's what happened to me had happened to him, and there was somebody else who had already happened to, that he was kind of like, what could help him the way he was kind of helping me a bit. So he was like, for him, he had, when he kind of like came to realize like what was going on, like, he had kangaroo legs when he looked down, and he was like, "Oh my gosh," like, but he was really like a lion, like he was like a lion, like his energy was like a lion energy. So he had like really like a lion, like they were really lion legs. And it's so funny because I think maybe is it Lyrans who are like animal like, or sorry, or lion like. Anyway, so so I'm like, man, like, or is it Lyra or Lyra? Lyrans. Anyway, Lyrans. So anyway, so we start going back and forth on stuff. We start talking about other things that like I realized like we don't like see eye to eye on things. So I was like, "Okay, well, thank you for your help." And I start looking up like reptilians on Gaia. Like, if you ever watch Gaia, Gaia's like, you can look it up. And it's like everything spiritual, right? And I start looking at everything on Gaia, and like there's nothing nice about reptilians. Like there's not a good thing to be said about reptilians. I'm like, oh my god, I'm one of these people. It makes sense. I'm so evil. And I'm like, okay, like it just in that moment. And then I'm like, how am I supposed to just go on with my life like this? How am I just supposed to go on with all this like shit that I've had? Like I am the snake. I am like a chameleon. I am all these things. I'm not from Earth. I saw myself with aliens in another life, like in another dimensional life. Like what the fuck, you know? It was Atlantis. I don't know. So basically, fast forward and we get to night 4, and I'm just like processing, right? I'm just like in this place of processing a lot of this stuff. And then we get to night 4, and night 4 is like the wrap night, like the wrapping up night. So you're meant to clean it all up and kind of conclude it. So you go back to the initial dosage we had in night 1. You have to take the same dosage. And so we do everything that we do and the same way. And in night 4, I'm not gonna lie, I do see a lot of, I don't remember night 4 as much, but even after like relatively like right away, it's not the same experience. It's sometimes like one of those things like when you take a plant medicine, you don't always remember the experience, like, you know, like in any kind of order in any way. Like it was kind of like that from at that point. So it's not just that it's been a long time. I don't have a lot of recollection of night Earth, except for the fact that I did see a lot of destruction of night. Did I say night 4? Night Earth of Earth. Like I did see a lot of natural disasters, a lot of things being impacted here, like a lot of things like that of people's experiences with mostly with natural disasters and tsunami and things like that. And I really felt a responsibility to help, right? To help Earth. And now that I've done more work, I say now that I'm older, but now that I've done more work over the past couple of years, I really understand that it's about the internal work that we do. Like we have to do the work ourselves. It's not about like, I'm just gonna go and recycle more. It's more of like if we're like atoms, you know, or your cells, like, you know, in Earth's body, like all our cells that are in our body, you know, help the collective. And that's what we are doing here on Earth. And so, you know, I sort of understood that, and I knew that there had a great responsibility to help and make this place better. And especially after seeing so much of like, well, the indigenous stuff, right? Understanding before, you know, like knowing that they know it all, like knowing that they know, like, you know, there's something I don't want to forget. Maybe I've said it before, but the Mapuche in Chile, my mom is from Chile. The Mapuche in Chile, like they know that they descend from the stars to come to Earth. Like, do you understand? There are so many indigenous, I started to listen to a bit more indigenous, like music. I always did before, if I'm being honest, just because like, I don't know, I'm Canadian and there's always a good podcast and good, you know, and that can't be said about all Canadians, by the way, but like good music, shows on like good indigenous artists who are doing really good work and all kinds of artists and stuff like that. And so I feel like I always did, but definitely after I started to listen to more intentional music. And it's so funny because I found this one, her name is Abuelita something, Grandma something, I can't remember it. If I'll find it, if I can remember it, I'll say it. I'll mention it in another video. But a lot of the music is like the snake coming along and remembering and reminding us, and like so much of indigenous music, and that, I think they're Mexican, that's in Spanish, and you realize like the connection that they have to Earth and how important it is for them to save our Mother Earth, like is crazy. So anyway, my point is that I saw a lot of destruction, a lot of things happening that, you know, we could prevent, we could make better. And so I know that that's a part of what I'm here to do, and so many of us, actually, I would say pretty much almost all of us that like incarnate on Earth have incarnated on Earth, are here to help. Like we're also here to experience it all. Of course, we're all here to experience the good and the bad that comes with being on this planet. All of it, like the joy, the love, the envy, the hate, you know, like all of it, like all of the things that come with being human, the anger, the lust, the ecstasy, like everything that we're here doing right now, we've come to experience on some level. So that's one of the things, right? And healing, and you know what I mean, and all of that stuff. But anyway, so there's one last thing that I will say, because again, I saw a lot of destruction on night 4, but it wrapped up very neatly and very cleanly. Like it was a potentiality. It doesn't have to be that way, but it is a potentiality. And so there's just, you know, one of the practitioners of the medicine, like Mariana, like I mentioned earlier, that everybody sings together, right? Like the shaman does the singing, and so do mostly, I mean, just beating a lot of the drum and stuff and working with the medicine, but a lot of the other practitioners sing, and they all sing beautifully and play their instruments beautifully. And there was this one moment at the end when I was kind of feeling the fear of it, like, oh my gosh, like it just felt so overwhelming. And it's one of the songs that Mariana was singing, that she was singing in Spanish. I think it was in Spanish. I don't think it was in Quechua. I have a feeling it was, or maybe there's some words in Quechua. But the point is that as she was singing this beautiful, like melodic song that made me feel like at ease again and at peace, I started singing it along with her. I've never heard this song in all of my life. I've never heard this song. I've never heard the song. Like, this is a song I don't know. I can't say I know this song. I've never heard it before. And there I am with her singing that song, like with her. And it was so beautiful. And I remember, no, I don't know the words. I couldn't remember, tell you the song if I couldn't remember it right now. But we sang it. I sang it with her alongside of her. And it was so beautiful. And so it's basically like we have a potentiality to do better here. And so anyway, so everything kind of wraps up, and I think, like I said, you know, we had after that was the Friday or whatever that day was, and then we had a free day the next day where the shaman did like a very beautiful closing ceremony with us, where we got bathed in water, like this beautiful fragrant flower petal water. It was really, really lovely, and like a cleansing. And then it was really beautiful. And then he was leaving, the shaman was leaving the retreat, and he was leaving, and I wanted to catch his attention because I wanted him to know that, oh my gosh, I saw these cool things, and I have like a mission on earth, and like, you know, and it's so funny because he was in a rush to leave, but I was kind of trailing behind him like a student with their teacher, like a teacher's pet. I didn't mean to, but I was just like, I just wanted to tell him this thing that I had seen, that I had a mission, and to say thank you so much for everything he did. And so he was like, and he was talking to all of his like real friends there, and they're like, you know, do you want to take any food with you and this and then? He's like, no, I gotta get on the plane or whatever. So I'm kind of like lingering, like crying, I want to say something. And so finally he turns around, he's like, Camila. I was like, hi. He's like, yes. He's like, listen, don't worry about it. You're gonna do a great job here. I wish you all the best, and don't worry, you will complete your mission. I have no doubts in my mind that you'll complete your mission. And I went, right? And I didn't even get up. Like, I was like I barely said anything. I think I said thank you, and like he left, and it can really very much confirm that I had a mission here. And because I had cowered away from night 3, at the time I didn't feel like I got the mission that what the mission was. And of course, since I work now and all the work I've done, it's the same mission we really all have, which is honestly to be our most authentic selves, to literally express ourselves whichever way we want. Like, we don't come here to suffer, contrary to what it feels like. We come here to expand and to grow and to be ourselves and to learn and to be whoever it is that we really truly want to be. And that doesn't have to come with suffering. And although it doesn't always feel true, and it certainly didn't feel true for me like this past week, like, you know, on and off the past few weeks actually, where I've been good for a really long time, and I was like, oh, am I back down in this place again? But I get it, like, and that's part of it. There are no lows. Like, you know, all the goals remind you of the goods. Like, you know what I mean? You can't have cold without hot. So you can't have, you know, you kind of like a gloomy day without happy days, or else you don't, you know, remember you don't recognize all the happy days. So they are really good. It's good for us to have these moments. But anyway, my point is that at the end of it, I really watched it with a lot of, you know, like a lot of new information. So we go back home, and everybody's very much in a different place. Like, you know, from when we first came on the bus, like, you know, on our way in versus our way out, people are chatting, but like, it's a quieter, you know, like kind of people more, I guess contemplative is the word. What's another word I can't think of though. Anyway, and so we go back home, and I, you know, especially the first couple of weeks are really great. They're tremendous. I feel at peace and I really enjoy it. And then this is really just the beginning. It's the beginning of so many more things that have happened to me, experiences like without the medicines, like without any plant medicines. I have had a couple of, you know, wild, like very deep ones, of course, with medicines, but I've had a lot of experiences where without the medicines, with that, you know, you have to accept as like, yeah, you're connecting to something else. You're connecting to something different, something higher, something outside of this world, outside of this dimension. And, you know, to your guides, whatever it is that you believe in. But there's so much more, like, and that there's so much more we are being, that's being orchestrated here. And you can connect to that anytime if you really want to. And one of the things, like, even if you don't believe in anything, you can always ask a question before bed and see if you get an answer, you know, and try that all week or try it for as long as it takes, you know, without any expectation on anything. Trust me, you'd be surprised at what comes up. So anyway, the point is that I've had a lot of wild experiences. I've had messages about the future since I've done this, so which I'll be sharing. So all this to say that, yeah, it was a really great experience. I recommend it if you are somebody, if you feel like you're being called to the medicines, you know, then go for it. If you don't, maybe this is your sign not to do it. You know, it's not like for 100% of people on earth to do, you know, ayahuasca or other plant medicines, but at the same time, if it calls you, like she calls you, she really does call you. If you are going, like, if you hear that, if you feel that call, like, then that's your sign to do it. And if this is maybe your sign as well. But my point is that is that there's a lot more happening here if we allow ourselves. And that's the main thing. I think the biggest key is you have to allow yourself to give into it. You have to allow yourself to experience it if you're willing to do that. So I'll leave it there and just say thank you for joining. And if you feel like joining any of my, or like checking out some of my other social media stuff, please feel free. It's still at La Vida Flaneuse. And, you know, I'm a bit more political right now on my social, just given the things that are happening on the planet, and of course the ways that I want to be helping and the ways that I want to be supporting Indigenous people, which I think is going to be sort of the future for myself, the near future for me, and how I want to move forward in this life for sure. Just taking on more causes in a very real, in a very real on the ground way. So anyway, but I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening, and then please feel free to stick around for other videos that are going to be coming up. Okay, thank you.